All right, all you cool cats, kittens. Sorry, you know what? I'm sorry. It's August 21st, but what's most important is that it's a Friday, and so what we're gonna do here on the DH podcast Hi5 series is just gonna be a little better than just the normal ranting and raving. We get a chance to get into some of the lighter side of things. Oh, no, we don't. No, we don't. Here's the thing, we never do. Number one, Thom Brennaman suspended. Folks, about once every 6 months or so, maybe once even 4 or 5, something happens, and the comedy gods grace us with a perfect storm. And Thom Brennaman delivered that perfect storm on Wednesday night. What he did when they were playing the Kansas City Royals, if for those of you that don't know, he's the Fox Sports Ohio announcer for the Cincinnati Reds. He also does some college football games, believe it or not, for Fox Sports as well. Or no, sorry, NFL. Really doesn't matter anymore at all. So what Thom did was during a media break, he called Kansas City a blank capital of the world. Now, the word, he said, was 3 letters, started with an F, ended with a G. Can't be used in slurs. And especially somebody that's been on the air for 25 plus years, you should know there's always a hot mic. So, he was caught with that hot mic, and then what he did is just immediately tried to blend it back into everything. Because less than 3 seconds after he dropped that slur, he went right back into play-by-play. So, trying to wipe it clean, didn't think that anybody heard him because he hadn't announced that, it was happening. And he finished out, throughout that game, he did 5.5 innings. I don't know at what inning he dropped it. All I know is it's not really that made things perfect. It's what came after. It's the apology. Because what Thom had to do was he had to look into the camera and he had to give some, iPhone Notes app apology where he said, I apologize to my family and friends. He didn't even apologize to the LGBTQ community, by the way. He just said to anybody that I may have offended. So, I mean, if you want to call that a blanket, you can call that the blanket statement. That's fine. Apologize to his family. He apologized to his bosses, the people that write his checks, because that's all we care about. Let's be real, folks. If I was getting a fat check, I'd care about it more. But that's not it. We're still not there. The comedy gods haven't graced us yet. But here's where they did their little sprinkle thing. Because in the middle of his apology, Castellanos hit a home run. He went yard. So in the middle of his apology, and it's something along the lines of, I've always prided myself on being a man of faith. And Castellanos rips that one to the left field. That's a home run. It's going to be 4-0 Cincinnati after that one. I don't know if I'll ever put on this mic again. Or I don't know who it'll ever be for. It was, and of course I'm not doing it justice, but it's so easy to find the video. It is incredible. I encourage all of you to watch it because it is just pure comedy. Oh, and also, the home run that was hit went yabo straight into the Planet Fitness judgment-free zone, which is comedy chef's kiss because you get the slur, the apology, everything just put a nice little bow on it because it was some of the funniest shit I've seen in months. And I think quarantine and staying inside has made everybody a little bit darker, a little more cynical, and actually get people to I had a belly laugh because there were so many things being pointed out that I had no idea. And the Reds posted a clip of the home run, which you do not do that. Just plow through it. They posted a clip of the home run, and they let their color commentator continue to do the rest of it. So they posted it with the color commentator's call on it. So typically you get your play-by-play and your color commentator. It's very difficult to do both. So I don't know who the guy is that does the color commentating for the Reds, but he's probably going to get a raise, or at least deserves a raise, because, I mean, to do that for an entire game now, I mean, the Reds are still playing, obviously, so he's taking the reins, and Thom was suspended. We have no idea if he'll be back. He was pulled from his football role, even after apologies. I just don't announce the home run, man. I mean, for me, I'm grateful for it. For me, I'm grateful. But for him, it's a poor move on his part. All right, number 2, the NBA draft. We got the NBA draft lottery order that came in. So the rich keep getting richer. The Celtics are at number 14. I'm only going to give you guys the ones that you actually give a shit about. Knicks at number 8. Rich get richer, poor get poorer. This is rough. Everybody, every Knicks fan, every year calls for the draft lottery to be abolished. Get rid of it. Let's do something similar to the NFL. Let's do something similar to the MLB. Okay, that's fine. But that's not how it works right now. So they're getting, to say they're getting the short end of the stick is being polite to them. They have been getting shafted for years and years on this draft lottery. Timberwolves come back in at number 1. This is great for them because D'Angelo Russell is going to get some help. And it's much needed, and he's still young enough to where he can have a really great connection on the court with whoever they draft. Now, it's looking to be Edwards out of Georgia, but you never know. Number 2 is the Warriors. What an incredible year to tank. When you had injuries out of Steph and Clay and Draymond, you know how Draymond, I mean, they're not even playing in the playoffs. So they didn't have to worry about the bubble. All they had to worry about is just recouping losses. And because they suck so hard in the regular season, they get the number 2 spot. That's a perfect example of the rich get richer. And whoever they take is going to be put into the best position we've seen any lottery pick step into in, I'd argue, over a decade. Because you're going to get a healthy Steph, a healthy Clay, a healthy Draymond, because he is healthy again now, but towards the beginning of the season he was injured. So, it's an incredible spot for whoever that is. Bulls get number 4, Cavs get number 5. Now, this 4-5 slot is where we're going to see Obi Toppin most likely land. I'm a Dayton Flyer, so I obviously am extremely biased towards the Toppin machine. Ain't no stopping Obi Toppin. But regardless, Obi will be able to fill a very specific need that both these teams have. And that's somebody that can command the floor. So Colin Sexton cannot command a floor. You need somebody that's able to take that 3, be able to shoot from the elbow, be able to absolutely slam it on somebody's head without regard for human life. Neither of those teams really have that. They have more niched players, like you've still got Kevin Love for the Cavs, to where he's not going to be draining threes. Does he have a bad percentage? No, he doesn't have a bad percentage, but that's not his role. So you need somebody that's more a utilitarian player, and he can play the 1 if he needs to. He most likely won't. He can play the 3 where he's going to sit for a while. He can play the 4 if he has to. He can play at these different spots that will make him a great fit into any team that we've got coming for the lottery. I don't think he'll fall down to 3 at the Hornets, but if he were to fall to number 2, I would be putting so much money on off-season odds, not only for him to win Rookie of the Year, but also for the Warriors to go and win a championship again. Simple as that. Number 3, NBA playoffs in general. Number 1 seeds bounce back. You got the Bucks beating the Magic. You got the Lakers beating the Blazers. And along with that, You got Dame Lillard's got a sprained finger, I think. Yeah, sprained finger, I think. He says he'll be back for Game 3. This is going to be a rubber match. Everybody wrote articles and made a big deal about the number 1 seeds losing. Losing Game 1 is a big deal, yes. They have not lost the series. Neither of them will lose the series. Would I like to see Portland and the Lakers go 7? Hell yeah, I would. I would love to see great basketball for 7 games. I mean, who wouldn't? But it's where we are. Neither of them are going to lose. Also, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. Make sure to watch your rubber match today between the Mavs and the Clippers. Huge. It's going to be great for them as well. All right, number 4 on your high 5 before we head into the weekend is there was an article that came out that's making its rounds. It was an ESPN article. Absolutely no idea who wrote it. That's saying that college football needs a realignment, and now is the perfect time. First off, I just disagree on this. But on the outset, I think that grouping people based on geographic location is arbitrary. We have the technology, the technical means to be able to get West Virginia to go play Oklahoma and Texas Tech and Texas on an annual basis and vice versa. And we have the means for somebody that's not in a conference like Notre Dame to be able to go play USC and to be able to go play Michigan like everybody loves. Just because the conferences themselves are loosely already based on location doesn't mean that we have to force people into a conference based on their location, because that means that you're going to get good teams that are now playing a worse schedule, and you're going to get those worse teams that will never be able to dig out of the trenches because they're always going and getting 1 or 2 wins a season, and the only money they're getting is from getting the absolute shit kicked out of them. We have the MAC for a reason. That's what the MAC is. You got to leave the SEC to what the SEC is. Now, I understand that college programs are being unfairly affected right now. Couldn't agree more. You've got the governor of Michigan that is holding up single-handedly with her big meaty claws the Big Ten. That even Gene Smith said, yeah, we had a chance to bring it back, but we didn't. So ultimately, I think this falls on Warren, the Big Ten commissioner. He allowed the Big Ten to be called as early as it was. Far too early. Because you had these college athletes that were already in their own bubble. And the only problem was that you added students to it. Having them in their own university bubble, training facilities, great. It's amazing. Extremely little exposure to the outside world, even if you're in a bigger city. But what the problem now is that you're adding tens of thousands of students and pushing them into this bubble. And I mean, it just goes to hell right from there. So I blame the Big Ten commissioner and I blame the PAC commissioner for calling it early. Instead of saying, hey, you know what, we had some technology issues and we recently figured out about the effectiveness of the saliva test and now we're going to implement it. Okay, cool. Let's ride. That's it. Number 5. As always, if you've watched the Hi5 series, which I'm grateful to see people liking, subscribing. We've seen numbers grow week after week. I mean, it may be a few people here and there, but I'll tell you what, Rome ain't built in a day. So I'm grateful to you all for doing that. But if anybody's watched any of the Friday episodes, I have the same theme for number 5. Watch some damn sports. Like I mentioned earlier, rubber match of the Clippers and the Mavs. That's going to be amazing. You got the Celtics that could take a 3-0 lead in Philly, or Philly can cut the lead in half. They could really make it a series right here today. You've got the WWE SummerSlam. Shout out to my boy Brad. I know nothing about WWE, but he knows everything. So that's one thing where if you want to actually expand beyond your typical sports, that's exactly where you need to go. That's a show every time. MLB is always going on. As we get closer to halfway through the season for the MLB and the bubble, you really need to pay attention to playoff races because winning 5 in a row or losing 5 in a row was never a detriment in a 162-game season. but sure as hell is when you're playing 60 or 65. I forget which one. Now, apart from all of this, besides watching sports, make sure to keep an eye on college football. Things are coming out every last single day, whether it's articles or news updates about what's happening on colleges. You will all most likely have your favorite team, so just pick that one. See what they're doing. See what kind of protocols they're running. Learn a little bit more about it. It's an absolutely insane world for them to be in because they are trying to do something more difficult than any sport has done before. Well, it's isolating a bubble inside of a bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds that are drinking and doing everything. So, they're doing something extremely difficult. Oh, and they're also trying to go to school while we're at it. Some places are suspending school in classes. Others aren't. Whatever. All right. That's been your high five for the DH podcast this week. We will catch you on Monday, but make sure to watch the sports. See you guys.